Hello, I'm Jennifer McCormick. Today I'm having a conversation with Karen Benioff Friedman, who is the recipient of a special grant from MOFSA for her work documenting the Jewish ritual of Taharah, or purification of the deceased. On its most basic level, Karen's work teaches us about the procedural aspects of Taharah, such as washing and dressing the body in preparation for burial. But on a deeper level, her work shows us the unseen world that the liturgy describes, one where angelic beings surround the Taharah team and participate in the shepherding of a soul. Our conversation traces a path from her secular upbringing to her deepening faith by involvement with her faith community and through performing selfless acts of service within her Chevra, or Holy Society. We'll also talk about an uncanny discovery she made of a body of artwork dating back to 17th century Prague. We'll take a look at the work and hear how it sparked an idea to create a new series of paintings for the 21st century. So stay with us, laugh with us, and enjoy the conversation as we just jump right in. Benioff Friedman.
No.
Okay. Benioff.
Benioff. Yeah, like penny, but Benny.
Benioff.
Benioff.
Friedman.
I actually grew up in a completely secular household. We had almost no religion at all. In fact, as a Jewish family, I thought Christmas and Easter were the best. But there was always a very strong identification with Judaism, but no practice. When our first son was born, we joined a synagogue because I realized that if we don't get him some education, it's going to kind of end with us. My husband also very secular upbringing. So we did, and kind of got into that life. We joined a not an Orthodox synagogue, a conservative, Berkeley conservative, so very egalitarian and participatory and fun, a lot of singing. That just sort of kind of got folded into our life very comfortably. It was something that our rabbi, the absolutely wonderful Stuart Kelman, had spent some time researching and working on with another lovely, wonderful guy named David Zinner in Baltimore. And Stuart decided that to take care of our dead is fundamental to who we are as a community, no matter what your community is. And in America, Jews had we'd lost the rituals. We'd sort of, in an act of assimilation, given up a lot of these rituals over to basically control of the mortuaries world. And he wanted us to take it back. He wanted us to form a Chevra, learn all the aspects of it and perform it. He kind of put it out there as a challenge, and I just felt in complete agreement. It just, I often say, people often ask, why are you doing this? And I think almost everybody would agree with me. You're just called to do it. It just feels right. You're doing this with absolutely no expectation of getting anything back, right? It's just a complete giving because the person you're doing it for is dead, so they can't reciprocate. The term Chevra Kedusha, it's an umbrella term, and there are several different jobs, the aspects of it. Basically, the function is to take care of the mourners and the dead. So you could sign up to cook food. You could sign up to help negotiate with a mortuary. You can sign up to sit shmirah, which is the Hebrew for guarding. And basically the idea is that the body is not left unattended from death to burial. We light a candle. This moment of tenderness and saying goodbye and being present. And often people will sit and they'll read Psalms. That's the tradition. You read Psalm from the book of Psalms. And then, of course, the kind of the bigger commitment is to do the actual Taharah ritual, which involves washing. Purifying and dressing a meta, which is the word we use for a deceased person, a dead person. One of the fundamental principles of a Jewish burial is that we are all equal in death. So the idea of a fancy coffin or a fancy, what you wear. There was a period in history where people were just spending lavishly on funerals, and the poor were unable to compete with that. They were unable, and they were feeling, they were abandoning their dead, literally just abandoning people. And Rabbi Gamliel, who was a very prominent rabbi at the time, said, no more. Everyone is equal in death. We get buried in the plainest of shrouds, white plain linen, with no adornment, and the coffin is a plain, unadorned box with nothing in it. And he insisted on that for himself, and that is sort of the standard. But in the end, everybody looks the same, everybody is dressed the same, and everybody is sort of attended to the same. I did not actually start doing Taharah until about 2004. Then a friend of mine died, and she asked me to be on her Taharah team, and that was my first experience with a dead body, with Taharah, so that was very shocking. I didn't really think about it artistically. You can't take photos, you can't draw, while you're there, obviously. And I, at the time I had some children running around, and, I wasn't doing a lot of art at that moment. And then in 2011, I started art school. I went to a classical atelier here in Oakland, and somewhere in my second or third year, I came across this cycle of paintings that were done in Prague in the 1750s to 80s by a guy. He was documenting the work of his Chevra in Prague. And the Prague Chevra Kadisha is famous and renowned. It's very beautiful. You can go there and see. You can go and see these paintings. And I looked at these paintings, and I thought, a whole bunch of things. I thought, wow, like, look what they're doing. It's sort of the same, and look what they're doing. It's totally different. And wow, these are not incredibly great paintings. I mean, they're historical, but as paintings go, they're not like the most amazing. And then I thought, wow, I'm kind of in a great position. I'm studying classical art. I had just studied anatomy, and I love anatomy and human body, as always been like, when I want to draw and paint. And I thought, yeah, maybe it's time to make a new cycle of paintings for the 21st century. And in particular, what I noticed from those 18th century paintings was there were no women there, except maybe there was a woman sewing the shrouds and the family in the morning, but everything else was all men. And I thought, okay, well, I don't know what the men are doing in there. I'm just going to paint what I know. And so I committed to sort of making it as much about the women's work in the Chevra. I learned like the very rigorous, kind of step-by-step process in Atelier, and then I abandoned it. what I ought to be doing is thumbnail sketches, and then small drawings, and then more focused drawings, and then get the model in, and then make color studies, and then I just jump in with a full canvas. I often will start with something completely abstract. Sometimes I take old paintings from before, 20 years ago when I was like playing around with acrylic painting and use those. I sometimes don't even tone a canvas. I just literally start painting and feel my way through and let the painting tell me what it's going to be. I usually have an idea. I have had the experience of spending 6-8 months on a painting and then said, you know what, this didn't work. Paint over it, new painting. A lot of times now what I'll do is, I'll spend my day, painting away with the little number 2 brushes, number 4 brushes, and then I'll have a pile of paint at the end, and I'll just take a clean new canvas and with a palette knife or a great big fat brush, paint, and sometimes that's the best painting of the day. Stop caring and just get right to the belly, right to the core of what I'm feeling, and let that come out, because I can get completely hung up on oh yeah, the shape of her head is just not right, I can paint. I have a lot of unlearning to do now. I paint in a former bedroom in our house. It is not at all suited for painting. The ideal painting studio has nice north light that doesn't change and is cool. Cool light. I have full west light. It gets excruciatingly hot. It's not huge, but it's pretty generous compared to what a lot of people have at their disposal to work in. For me, yeah, monotype is finger painting, and it's right from the heart. I always say in monotype, my hands are smarter than my head. My hands know what they're doing. I just let them go. It's really beautiful.
For you revive the dead and bring death to the living.
לך לחטאים ולעוונות ממתי עמך ישראל בתחנונים.
It's a dual process. So on the one hand, we're taking care of a physical body, and we're preparing this body for kind of its final moment, and to be put into the earth. And then we're also preparing the soul.
ריבונו של עולם, חמול על פלונית בת פלונית, המתה הלזו.
Which we understand the soul is literally hovering over her head.
ותנוח נפשה ונשמתה עם הצדיקים, כי אתה מחיי המתים וממית חיים. ברוך אתה מוחל וסולח לחטאים.
And so part of the liturgy and part of what we're doing is we're shepherding her soul into its next, what it's going to be doing next. And I say her because in a Chevra, the men will only attend to the men and the women will only attend to the women for reasons of modesty and respect. And respect for the dead is the underlying principle that guides us in everything we do. But I do want them to be educational. I do, because Taharah is still not that commonly practiced. I want to convey technically what it looks like and feels like what we're doing, but I also want to convey what it feels like emotionally for us to do it. So when I do get the opportunity to do it and not be a leader, I do take that moment to really kind of look at the text and look at this person and try to, really feel their soul with us. One of the things that drives us in this work is, we are the last hands that will touch this body. And we want to do it with as much love and respect and caring as we possibly can, because after that it's, into the earth. And that's really important.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Bye.
Bye-bye.